play-in continues today in the PVL, the heart of volleyball.
Step aside, I own this night. 차가운 시선도 out of sight. Pulse in my vein, it's electric gold. 내 불빛은 never cold. Light it up, no turning back. 세상 내 무대 track. 숨길 수 없어 내 vibe, so really energy you gonna feel. I'm invincible, nothing can break me. Limitless flow, don't try to chase me. Crash like a wave, wild and free. 이 무대 위, I'm all you see. Invincible, na 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 na. Yeah, na 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 na. Invincible, na 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 na. Na 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 na. 늦지 않아.
Myla Pablo and the NXLED Chameleons may have regained their form towards the end of the preliminary rounds just in time as they face the very sneaky gymnastics in the Galleries Tower Highrisers who were able to turn things around in the play-in. They earned another match here in our play-ins at the PVL All-Filipino Conference. And we are ready for this matchup. First off, we have the NXLED Chameleons taking on the Galleries Tower Highrisers, followed by our next match. The Akari Chargers will face the Choco Mucho Flying Titans, all inside the Ninoy Aquino Stadium here in Manila City. And thank you so much for joining us, by the way, on One Sports Plus and the Pilipinas Live app. Dip Dipiaco, so happy to welcome a new member of our broadcast team. Great cold open, by the way, giving us the energy, Sophie Espiritu. Sophie?
Yeah, it's an honor to be here in the PVL, and I'm just as excited for this game as you guys and everyone else.
Nakapasok din sa qualifier si Sophie, which is why she is here with us. Ivy Remulla with me to break down this game. Ivy, we know this is going to be a long way to the top, to the semifinals, but these two teams, more importantly, they have one shot to enter the next round.
That's right, and this one shot, I am sure that both would really try to make the most out of it because there's no turning back after this day.
We'll take a look at how it looks like, the tournament format and the matches happening. As we know, PLDT and Signal already made it through after winning their previous matches.
That's right. So we have in the play-ins. Now, this is the most crucial part of the tournament, as we've seen that the winners against PLDT and the game PLDT and Signal rather already advancing to the second round, while the remainder of the losing team with the qualifying round will be competing against the teams that we have right now. So that means that the NXLED winner for the NXLED and Galleries Tower will be competing against Farm Fresh, and the winner of the second match for today will be facing Creamline.
Medyo malayo pa, no? But all eyes on this game. This is their main focus for today before thinking about anything else. So let's discuss these two teams first for the NXLED Chameleons. As you mentioned, maybe peaking at the right time again. They won their first 3 games at the start of the season, had a losing skid, but their last 2 matches were great for their squad. They turned it around thanks to MVP Brooke Van Sickle, who is ready to go at it for NXLED.
That's right. MVP, I think, is really a very suitable title for Brooke Van Sickle. She has been performing very well, always at the top for her team. And after the preliminary round, she has already scored 175 points, so she's the 5th in scoring. And I think what's worth mentioning as well is not just the scoring efficiency for Brooke, but also how well she helps with the defense at the floor. 40.7 reception efficiency. That's quite high, considering she's not even a libero.
And that's the thing. She's number 3 in that category, the highest she's ever been in her PVL career. And speaking of rankings, we got to speak with her. She ranked her favorite PVL memories so far in her career, so let's watch this.
Hi, this is Brooke Van Sickle, and this is Rank It. Oh, when was this? Hold on.
Big treat for all volleyball fans.
Yeah, this is right. My first point, in PVL. Yeah, first game, jitters, everything. I was super nervous, and I just remember, it was point 1? Yeah, .1, and I ended up getting a kill, and I was just like freaking out internally. Oh, this was the last one. This is All-Filipino, yeah. First All-Filipino.
Pablo's been playing well on this. Tips it over. It's still in play.
Wow. That game was intense. That was the first title for Petro with All-Filipino conference. And yeah, I just remember, so game 1 of the series, and again, high intensity. It's always like super fun playing Creamline because you always know they're a team that's gonna give it their all and everything, especially their fans. But we ended up going 3. Okay, I know this one. This one's the first. This was the first All-Filipino conference I played in. First conference here in the Philippines. Still, just trying to take it game by game. And this is my career high. Okay, even better. It was like flow state, when you get in that groove. The setters were setting butter. Everything was just clicking. I love when that happens.
Van Sickle got it. Sickle to save a set point. Got it.
Okay, now we're gonna rank which moments were the best. Okay, in order. Starting, number 1. I would say it was definitely the Creamline Petro finals. I would say it's definitely that one just because, again, the energy was electrifying. It was super fun to be able to play Creamline in the finals. It was, yeah, first finals. I would say probably second one I'm gonna rank is the Cherry Tigo versus Petro for bronze. Just because, again, that was my first conference here in the Philippines, so it was very special. And then unfortunately, but even though it's still a good memory, I would rank my first kill in PVL last. More conferences to come, more memories to make, especially with NXLED Chameleons. So I'm very grateful to be here in the Philippines, and let's go Chameleons.
We just witnessed some amazing moments from 3-time MVP Brooke Van Sickle, and I'm sure the fans want to see even more amazing moments from her. So if you want to see more from Brooke and the rest of the PVL stars, you can vote for them to be at the Volleyball All-Star Showcase at pvl.ph/allstar. And, speaking of Brooke, I had the chance to talk to her earlier, and she was telling me, despite losing to Galleries in the preliminaries, she feels that they're a different team now. They've been making a lot of progress, a lot of momentum, and she definitely feels like they're more prepared this time around. Now, what she was telling me in today's game is they really want to show patience, like what they showed in their last match against PLDT. So we can expect that from the team today. And NXLED is one of the best offensive teams, but they've been struggling with passing. So Brooke said that was her focus for today's game, despite her being number 3 in reception. There's still a lot to improve, in her words. And she was saying today is revenge or go home. So we'll see how Brooke and the rest of NXLED will respond today.
Very good point, Sophie, that you mentioned for NXLED. Yes, they lost in the preliminary round against this same team, Ivy, but iba na tong play-in eh. And as we mentioned, yung last 2 games ng NXLED, they got their wins, and maybe that's what they needed, some time to regroup and get their chemistry.
That's right. So and we've known also that they've been playing a lot with the combinations on their lineup as well. So it goes to show that there's a lot of different ammunition, if I may use that word, for this team.
And maybe Coach Ettore has found the right mix. We'll find out as we get going in this match in just a bit. But now let's talk about the Galleries Tower Highrisers. As we mentioned, it's very tricky because they've won some big games, as you mentioned, an upset against the Chameleons in the eliminations. Then all of a sudden, after that big win, they lost their 5 last elimination games before turning it around in their first play-in matchup. But what do you think are their chances here in this matchup?
Well, I think this team has a lot of potential, and one of the key points that this team has been bringing onto the table has always been the defense at the net. As we talk about the towers of power for the Galleries, of course, we have Jean Asish in last match. She had 17 points with 3 blocks. Rosel Baliton has scored 11 points and 4 blocks. So these just 2 players we're talking about combining with forces at the defense at the net, and we still have the rest of the team to contribute. So I think they've marked they marked the players well in their last match, and we can expect them to do the same here in this match.
And there you go. They will be very crucial for the Highrisers in this matchup today. And I think you can also send them to the All-Star if they want to see more of those 2, right, Sophie?
Yeah, definitely. These 2 players have really stepped up So if you want to see even more of them, you can vote for them for the Volleyball All-Star Showcase at pvl.ph/allstar. Now, talking about these two great middle blockers, I had a chance to speak to them about their relationship earlier, and they were telling me it's really a give and take relationship. For Jean, Ate Rosel is like a leader for her and for the rest of the team, and they really bond both on and off the court. And for Ate Rosel, on the other hand, despite being older, she was telling me she really learns a lot from Jean, especially in terms of her aggressiveness and her energy on the court. That's very infectious. And you know what they say, there's nothing more dangerous than a team with nothing to lose, and that's exactly what the Galleries Tower Highrisers embodied in their last game against NXLED, and they hope to repeat the same thing again today.
Well, these towers definitely have good foundation, good balance, having a veteran in Rosel Baliton at yung newcomer na si Jean Assis, who's also playing like a veteran. Speaking of, again, these stars, we want to invite you to watch our All-Star Showcase. You can vote them over on pvl.ph if you want to see them in that event. On May 1, it will happen in Candon, Ilocos Sur, and you can also catch it on the Pilipinas Live app. And speaking of the Pilipinas Live app, I know Sophie has a question to all our viewers right there.
Yes, I do. Given that this is a do-or-die match, I'm sure all the fans have a lot of thoughts to say. So we have a special poll question for you running below the stream. And our question for today is, which side will be sharper offensively in this knockout match? Will it be the NXLED Chameleons or the Galleries Tower Highrisers? You can answer that question below the stream and also join our conversation online using the hashtag PVL2026.
All right, we'll leave you to it. In just a bit, we are set for the play-in matchup between the number 5 NXLED Chameleons and the number 9
Galleries Tower Highrisers, all here on Signal TV.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ninoy Aquino Stadium. This is the play-in round of the PVL All-Filipino Conference 2026. This is match number 50, and this matchup features the NXLED Chameleons versus the Galleries Tower Highrisers. And now let's meet our officials for this match. Our first referee, Joffer Educado, National Referee. The second referee is Justine Navidad, National Referee. And now let's meet the starters. First for the NXLED Chameleons. Outside spiker from the University of Hawaii, number 10, team captain Brooke Van Sickle. Center from De La Salle University, number 5, Jules Tolentino. Opposite hitter from the National University, number 8, Myla Pablo. Middle blocker from Juniata College, number 13, MJ Phillips. Middle blocker from the College of St. Benil, number 15, Rania Musa. Outside spiker from Bulacan State University, number 20, Jonas Sabete Escamillan. Starting libero from Adamson University, number 21, Bang Pineda. The head coach for the Chameleons is Ettore Guidetti. And now the starters for the Galleries Tower Highrisers. Center from De La Salle University, number 5, team captain Julia Coronel. Outside spiker from the university, or opposite hitter from the University of Santo Tomas, number 8, Isa Maizo Pontillas. Middle blocker from the Far Eastern University, number 10, Jean Asis. Middle blocker from the University of the East, number 12, Rosel Baniton. Outside spiker from Jose Rizal University, number 15, Shola Alvarez. Outside spiker from Enderon Colleges, number 17, Erica Deloria. Starting libero from UST, number 7, Bilog Barbon. Head coach for Galleries Tower is Clarence Aying Esteban. This game is held under the supervision and regulation of the Games and Amusement Board. This is NXLED versus Galleries Tower.
Here are the starters for the NXLED Chameleons. You have Musa, Phillips, Pablo, Tolentino, Sabete, Van Sickle, and Pineda. So 2 of those players did actually did not see action in their elimination round matchup against Galleries Tower. Meanwhile, the Highrisers are parading the same lineup for them. And as you can see, we talked about the middle blockers earlier. Asis and Baliton still spearheading the net defense for Coach Aying Esteban. Roshola Alvarez also entering the starting unit after playing a good game against Capital One. And first point goes to NXLED.
And NXLED starting off strong here. Of course, again, this is a do-or-die game for both of these teams. We would be expecting both of them to, really perform their best.
No more tomorrow. If they go on to lose, they will be eliminated here in our All-Filipino conference. And first point as well for Galleries Tower. Highrisers lost their last 5 games in the preliminary round. So there were some doubts entering that play-in against the Solar Spikers, but they were able to edge out Capital One in that matchup. Meanwhile, for NXLED, winning their last 2 in the preliminaries. They also had their own losing skid. It started when they lost to the Highrisers, but as you mentioned, MJ was not there, Jonah was not there, so this is somewhat a different look now for the Chameleons.
Well, that was a good kill. Asis with her first point.
We'll see a lot of those from Coronel and Asis in that win against Capital One in straight sets. Asis scored 17 points. Coronel, this time on the outside. Deloria unable to get it. Van Sickle with their first look.
Good change of angle, but there was a violation at the net called against NXLED. Point will be awarded to the Highrisers.
Point to the Highrisers.
Lucky break for Galleries Tower. Pump set. Van Sickle again, this time off the block.
here we can see, that the Highrisers, they really marked the scores on the side of NXLED, and so far they've had touches, with the attacks.
Meanwhile, a service ace delivered by Jules Tolentino as they overtake here in the first set. Well, you talked about marking the attackers of NXLED. That's what Galleries Tower did. They tried to limit Belen in their previous outing. They knew they were going to go to her most of the time. Erica Deloria also on the board with her first point. For all. Back set, Pablo. Deloria. One more time for Galleries Tower, and Coronel with their athleticism able to get that point.
Good decision there for Coronel.
(5-4). To the middle, Rania Musa with a quick response. Parang nagkakapaan pa early on in this game.
This is what you would, if you were both these teams, this is how you would like the game to go. Nobody really going ahead so much in the score.
You also don't want to lose gas or that steam towards the next few sets.
And I think both of these teams are fighting for momentum. Whoever gets the momentum would be on the advantage.
Erica Deloria, who's been a revelation in this conference, scores another point. She has the service line now.
The last time these two teams met, she scored 16 points, one of the 4 players in double digits.
They will need more of those performances from the same people as we get the support now from Sofia Espiritu.
Dip and Ivy, today we're seeing familiar teammates and friends, but on opposite sides of the court. Some of them notably are Myla Pablo and Nang Aiza Pontilla. So Myla's actually telling me earlier in the dugout about her close relationship with Nang Aiza, and she even picked her up earlier to come to the arena together today. Now, despite being close friends, they both know that on the court, it's all professional, and they're both hungry for this win today. So Myla's goal for her team today is just to stick to their system and be more aggressive on offense, having more players contribute in terms of scoring. So we're excited to see how these two players perform in today's knockout match. Back to you, Dip and Ivy.
Great stuff, Sophie. Well, for Nang Aiza and Myla Pablo, they've spent a lot of years together, won titles when they were still in Petrogas. Pero akala ko, iiwan ni Nang Aiza sa daan si Myla. Kaso sinama pa rin dito sa Ninoy Aquino.
That, I think it touched the antenna. So that was called outside.
Goes to show how nice Nang is, no?
Yes, oo. Hindi niya iniwanan sa gitna ng kalye si Myla.
Ang gusto kong malaman ni Sophie, ano kayong napag-usapan nila dun sa
kotse, no? Yeah. Was it about the game? O yung, wag mong gagawin to sa akin mamaya, yung mga ganon.
Yan natin how they will play this one out. Shola Alvarez comes up short. As we go to the first technical timeout, the Chameleons are up by 1. back inside the Ninoy Aquino Stadium in Manila for PVL 2026 All-Filipino Conference. This is still the play-in. And both teams fighting for a spot in the next round. Waiting for them are the Farm Fresh Foxies. That's a slide. 3 points already for MJ Phillips.
And we all know that MJ Phillips, when she's on a roll, she's on a roll.
At mukhang na-miss niya na yung match against Galleries Tower, no? But she was not there. Saying, I'm gonna lead the charge with 3 points already. It's a 3-0 run, by the way, for the Chameleons. But a service error there for Myla Pablo.
Cuts down the lead to 1 point.
Setter captain Coronel serving. Joust. Kept alive. Barbon with a send over. Tolentino had no choice but to go for that tip, and it worked.
Those were 2 over receives from NXLED.
Serving for NXLED, Juna Saprete Escamilla.
10-8. A push there. Chance now for the white shirts. They bring it to Brooke. One more time, Jonah from the back. Saved by Coronel. Assist, tosses. Nang Aiza was checked. One more time for Maizo Pontillas, and she breaks the block.
Aiza saying not the second time around. And an advantage being a lefty here. She's got a lot of angle to work with.
Yeah. Alvarez with a serve. Tolentino goes to Jonah again. Barbon pumps it to Maizo Pontillas. Pineda got a touch. And the chase by Jonah. Back with the Highrisers. Aiza, her attack was saved. Medyo nag-alangan doon si Pablo. As she was stepping on the line. That's an attack line fault for Myla Pablo.
We're tied now 10 apiece. And good hustle being shown here by the Highrisers.
This time it doesn't work for Tolentino. Maizo Pontillas with a miss hit, but no problem. They'll take that as they regain advantage.
It was a miss hit, but it's a point anyway. You see the reaction that Aiza had after that hit.
Yeah. A counter 3-0 run by Galleries Tower here. Oh, Van Sickle answering back.
You know, if you are blocking or defending the net against Brooke Van Sickle, you really have to have a very tight block. No space in between the blockers, so that the only angle she can work with would be the open air. So that's going to be easier for your floor defense.
Sabi nga natin, a number 5 in the tournament in terms of scoring. So you need to make an extra effort to defend her.
So like I was saying, no space. You have to leave no space.
Right on cue as she went for that spot there. Maybe a step to the right for Maizo Pontillas. Yeah, a blockbuster for Erica Deloria.
She manages to squeeze that in. The 2 blockers. Again, you have very tall net defenders on the other side of the court.
Gymnastics now serving for the Highrisers.
Tied at 12 here in the first set. Oh, that's way short for Gymnastics. So we're halfway through set 1 and still no team has really gained an edge here, Ivy.
Well, again, this is a very important match, and I am sure that neither of these teams would want their opponents to get really ahead. You wouldn't want to catch yourself playing catch-up.
Well, if this is how it will go, we could be in for a long one here. 13 all in the first set.
So Liton made her presence felt. One hand set, but that's already overreaching. Again, a lot of over receives on the side of NXLED.
I was about to say they've had trouble with that first ball. Jules having some difficulty setting up her teammates because of that pass that she's getting from her teammates. But a challenge called here.
We're almost halfway through the first set, so the coaches, of course, want to get as much points as they can.
Yeah.
I think this might be a good time to use the challenge.
Unless pinag-usapan ng Aiza at Milo, sabihin mo sa teammates mo, dikit lang tayo sa simula.
Lang tayo.
Mas bahala na sa dulo. But this is also how it went actually in the elimination matchup. Reaching beyond was called for a challenge. There's none. So, a successful challenge for NXLED.
Point will be replayed.
Yeah, so it'll be 13 all. Our score. Since the point will be replayed, it'll be Galleries Tower again serving. Which Ettore Guidetti trying to propel his team to distance for a chance to enter the semifinals. Deloria straight to Pineda. Jules, Van Sickle with the send over. Coronel, back set to Baliton. And this spike of the set is brought to you by Dunkin, pasalubong ng bayan.
Only one blocker challenging Rosel Baliton, so a lot of area, a lot of space for her to work with.
Baliton was a top scorer for Galleries Tower against NXLED when they faced each other last February. She and Deloria had 16 points each. But that's another response from the Chameleons. And another deadlock in the first set. Barbon puts it up for Deloria. Covered by Alvarez. Back to Erica. Kept alive. The pancake save by Tolentino. But Van Sickle just miscalculates, and that one goes out.
Galleries regain the lead. That was an excellent save by Tolentino.
Another lead switch here in set 1. They go to Alvarez, popped up by Van Sickle. Dug by Deloria. They transfer to Pablo, kept alive still. And Sabete Escamillan was dug. Alvarez with a tip. This is a long rally alert. Oh, excellent floor defense for both teams in this exchange. As we go on. But nobody home for Galleries Tower. Coronel and Alvarez thinking twice from that drop of Van Sickle.
But that was very good exchange, for both teams. We've seen a lot of good defense from both sides. And the variation of attacks was there as well.
Yeah.
You're really trying to make the defense move. And that's what you would want as much as possible.
Yun na yung pinaka-varied attack, no? Yung tapik na yun ni Brooke, because everything else was being saved. Abby Maranyo is in the game for the first time. That one sent back, and it drops. As it switches back to the Chameleons. And we go to the second technical timeout. UAAP Season 88 Volleyball is in full swing. Watch the games every Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday on the Pilipinas Live app, also available on the UAAP Varsity channel and One Sports, because legends start here. Also have some collegiate volleyball action over at the UAAP ongoing this weekend over at the UFC Quadricentennial Pavilion. But meanwhile, PVL action continues. The same play from a while ago, but this time it's out.
But a challenge will be called for block touch.
A while ago, NXLED called a challenge. They were successful. This time, Galleries Tower. A 4-1 run, by the way, for the Chameleons. As they were trailing by 2 points before this mini comeback. But it's been a game of runs, really, all throughout this first set. There's no block touch.
Block touch. That was clean. But the challenge, of course, could also be meant to break the mini run that is being created here by NXLED.
Baliton trying to go at it again, but defended by NXLED. Pablo, her attack was saved. So was Delorias. Coronel will hand it to Pascual, and
Another net touch on the side of NXLED.
so free point given up to the Highrisers.
Serving for Galleries, Rosel Baliton.
16-17. Tolentino looks at the options, goes to Phillips. It falls right in front of Maizo Pontillas.
Smart move from Phillips. Again, just changing the speed of that attack. That gives him back the 2-point advantage.
You can sense that both teams are really reading each other very well.
Number 8, Pop Dog. Number 2, Janelle Chang. Now serving for the
Couple of changes for Coach Ettore, bringing in Janelle Cheng and Lian de Guzman for the first time. That one sails out.
Third error from the service line here for NXLED.
Phillips, oh, the hammer coming from MJ Phillips.
Let's take a look at that attack once again.
19-17 here in the first. Barbon points to the open. Pascual unable to put it away. This is going to be a free ball given up by NXLED. Coronel, combination to Pascual. Maizo Pontillas got a touch. And Coronel won't get there in time. And a timeout will be called by Coach Aing Esteban. His team down by 3.
Kailangan natin to eh. Kailangan natin maglaro ng maayos. Okay, so pagka nagbabalikan ng BB-Pass, utilize mo yung press mo, utilize mo yung offense spiker. Yung coverage na lang natin si Bakit. Wala tayong problema sa floor defense. Okay, wala tayong problema sa floor defense. Pero dapat gumalaw tayo ng maayos offense.
Let's go, let's go, let's go. Oh, let's go. Let's go.
You see Jonas Abete Escamillan in the last 2 games has produced impressive numbers for the Chameleons.
That's 34 points in just 2 games, so that's really high, or a big production here for her. Well, we all know, she has also been a very consistent player. And of course, all the more that all the points will be needed at this point moving forward.
Saved by Pineda. Galleries Tower, they need a point here before NXLED pulls away, and they get it from Maizo Pontillas.
Change in direction once again for Maizo Pontillas, this time going down the line.
Chola Alvarez checks back in for Gail Pascual.
Now serving, Chola Alvarez.
That 3-point cushion of NXLED earlier was their biggest lead. Highrisers have to be careful as we near the end part of the first set. Van Sickle, there is a check.
Van Sickle catching some fingers.
6 points for BBS. Same with MJ Phillips, who is now at the service line. Coronel to Maizo Pontillas. Oh, she's leading the way here for the young Galleries Tower in the first set.
4 points for Aiza Maizo Pontillas.
That one clipping the net. Maraño picks it up. They go to the right side. The Guzman was rejected. That's the first block point of Galleries Tower. And this time, NXLED will call for time.
Spikes off an assist on block is a very bad idea. Okay, here we go. Ready, guys? The service regular is dropping down. Got the ball early, And we go. We got Pontilla, assist, and Spiker there, Here we go. Eye on the lines, and we keep going. Now your 6 is moving on the line because you spike 2 times there, You can enter in 5.
Guys, expect her to hit this way. Be ready, low and ready. She's not hitting it hard. Let's go. Next one.
Timeout called by Coach Ettore Guidetti as the Galleries Tower Highrisers are threatening to equalize again. And Galleries Tower, before that rejection, they haven't gotten any points from their net defense, considering that they are number 3 in blocking as a team. So they need more of those, or at least slow the balls down. But even those simple hits, they need to take care of. That's a simple play from Brooke Van Sickle.
And number 5, Jules Tolentino.
And Pablo Tolentino comes back in for NXLED.
Now serving Jules Tolentino.
3 points away from taking the first set. Coronel, tough one-hand set. But Maizo Pontillas rewarding that setup. What a play for the Highrisers.
Pontillas making up for that earlier error. Again, only one blocker challenging her up in the net.
1-point game. Tolentino sets up Van Sickle. Naabot! And another block for Galleries Tower. The second for Rosel Baleton.
Re-entering the game for NXLED number 15, Rania Musa.
Rania Musa.
The score is now tied at 22.
Checking back in, and we are tied at 22. Van Sickle, a bit close, had to use her offhand. Maizo Pontillas brings it to Deloria. Saved by Pineda. And Baleton.
But she touched the net.
A little too aggressive.
She admitted to that. There you go. But again, a lot of open receives we're seeing here on the side of NXLED.
Yeah. Well, lucky for them. Onting gigil lang din si Baleton, which is why she committed that error. Substitutions now for Galleries Tower, bringing in Camps Victoria and Maggie Mangulabnan. That serve goes wide for Brooke Van Sickle.
Erica Deloria now serving for Galleries Tower.
That's a good serve, but good ball as well from Pineda. Pablo's attack drops. And NXLED reaches set point here. After a slow grind, they have arrived at set point.
NXLED is now at set point.
And Galleries, once again, you know, they're keeping this close. As they call for timeout.
Kailangan natin mapatay ito. Tapos pag walang ganda mo ipasok mo. Pag wala, pag wala, labas-labas lang. Galaw mo lang ang bola. Pero kailangan mo natin pumasa.
Let's go! Kapitan!
As we take a look at Gail Pascual in that play-in matchup against Capital One, she scored in double digits.
Serving for the set, Rania Musa.
But they would need a lot of these contributions. I'm talking about the Highrisers. And in terms of performance and win-loss record, NXLED fares better as compared to them. But you know, I think the energy or the push that they've had from winning against Capital One is something that they can really bring into this match.
Yeah. But a chance now for the NXLED Chameleons. Oh, you see Galleries Tower scrambling. They weren't able to get some clean hits there. And the NXLED Chameleons will take the opening set 25-23. This play of the set is brought to you by Pure Gold. Sa Pure Gold, always panalo. Ayla Pablo getting it done. And the Chameleons are on the board first. We'll be back with set 2 after the break. Back inside the Ninoy Aquino Stadium for PVL 2026 All-Filipino Conference. And the NXLED Chameleons taking that opening frame in close fashion over the Galleries Tower Highrisers. 25-23, palitan ng puntos din, Ivy. We saw a number of deadlocks, lead changes, pero sa dulo, nagkatalo and NXLED got it.
That's right. So there's, each of these teams not really allowing the other to pull away very much. And I mean, NXLED almost had that, separation, almost created that separation. But the Galleries was able to find a way to inch back closer. And the good defense also being shown by both of these teams. So probably one thing lang siguro na lamang ng Galleries, yung passing nila is more steady as opposed to NXLED na medyo ang daming nilang naibigay na over receives. As we take a look at the numbers, Chameleons were able to convert most of their attempts into points. I'm talking about the attacks. Both had just 2 points from the defense at the net. Although here, medyo we're expecting that it's the Highrisers who would produce more. And despite the fact that the Chameleons had more errors here in the set, still they were able to steal it. But that's the reason why, naging malapit lang din ang margin because they only have 4 more attack points than the Highrisers.
Yeah.
And only 1 A. So, very little separation, really, if you look at it.
Well, the Galleries Tower Highrisers had a double sub towards the end, but did not really work out to their favor. Wasn't able to set up a proper play towards the end of that set. And NXLED took advantage. Despite, as you mentioned, some trouble with their passing, the first ball, they were able to get that. So, what more if they get their bearings going here?
Yeah, because those are actually the lost opportunities to create a play. But for the Highrisers naman, a little bit on yung may mga makita tayong mga sequence parang nagugulat sila sa pagkuha ng bola, which usually results to an error.
First point for the Chameleons. Here in set 2, Myla Pablo will serve now for NXLED. Alvarez. Pineda will pick it up. Sa Bete Escamillan goes for the attack. Saved again by Galleries Tower. Pineda working hard at the back. Pablo with a swing. Back and forth. Deloria from behind, and that ball will go into the stands.
Good powerful hit by Deloria.
Serving for the Highrisers, Julia Coronel.
Tolentino sets up Phillips. So that has worked effectively for the Chameleons in this match.
So far, nobody has stopped MJ Phillips. Good down the line hit.
7 points already for MJ Phillips. Free ball. Tolentino back to MJ. And again, no answers for that play.
And MJ Phillips, her ball is just too fast for the defense. This time going for a cross-court hit.
Coronel sets up Aiza. The adjustment midair. Back with the black shirts. Maizo Pontillas breaking the block.
Good change here for Pontillas. This time challenging the blockers of the Chameleons.
They go to Brook. The dive by Coronel, but a point by PBS is finding the opening.
Of expect that BVS would be going for those hard hits. But then again, she's also a high leaper, so she can change her mind in midair. And Ilias off speed.
Phillips sends it back to Van Sickle. Saved by Barbon. Highriser with a swing. Goes to the far corner, but it was long and out. So early on, NXLED establishing a 3-point lead, which they were only able to do towards the end of set 1. Asis with a reply as we get this report from Sophie Espiritu.
Dip and Ivy, you mentioned carrying the same energy from the Highriser's previous win into today's game. And for their captain, Julia Coronel, she returns today to a familiar court and with it, a familiar kind of energy. Julia said the last time she was in this arena was when she was with the Alas Pilipinas team. And so the environment is bringing back good vibes and energy from that fun experience. For Julia as the captain, that energy in-game is very crucial. And so when they're going through a difficult time at any point, she makes sure to talk to each teammate and keep the mood light. So let's see how Julia and the Galleries Tower Highrisers will channel even more energy to catch up in this game. Voting is now online for the Volleyball All-Star Showcase in Candon City on May 1. Cast your votes at pvl.ph/allstar. The Volleyball All-Star Showcase will also be available live on the Pilipinas Live app. Back to you, Dip and Ivy.
Thank you, Sophie, for that report. We're seeing a quality exchange from both teams. And the joust still alive. Play on. Van Sickle saved by Deloria. Musa finally, after an exhausting rally there, they get the point.
Well, we've had a lot of long rallies. It's probably the longest so far. And that drop shot by Musa. Yeah, it's the Chameleons. There's 6 points, so this is a 3-point advantage for NXLED. So if you were the Highrisers, you know, you better put in the points right now.
Right. Going back to that report of Sophie, Julia Coronel, as the Highrisers get that point, the last time she was here was with the national team, no? When they've had their international tournaments. But this time, different mission for Captain Juju to try and send their team to the next round of our play-ins. They have not entered the postseason since they've joined the PVL, but they got a good shot this conference. Meanwhile, Myla Pablo already with 5 points.
So the Highrisers struggling with the tips, you know, those soft hits coming from the side of the Chameleons. Not a good pass.
Chance given up. Sabete Escamillan was checked. A redo for NXLED Pablo. But the dive by Coronel keeps the ball alive. Still playable. Deloria with a step back. One more time and going for the cross-court kill.
Patience has worked for the Highrisers. But in that last sequence, they struggled with the first pass. You know, their service reception is something that I think has fallen short as compared to the first.
Erica Deloria already with 6 points, leading the way for the Highrisers. However, she commits a service error, which will send us to the first technical timeout. NXLED up by 3. UAAP Season 88 Volleyball is in full swing. Watch the games every Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday on the Pilipinas Live app. Also available on the UAAP Varsity channel and One Sports, because legends start here. So far, the NXLED Chameleons are off to a better start in set 2. A while ago in our first set, nagpapalitan sila ng puntos, but right now they are dictating the pace here and how it is going right now. A service ace for Rania Musa.
So I mentioned earlier about the Highrisers struggling in this set with their first ball, particularly from the service. And Rania Musa now with 3 points, 2 attacks, and 1 service ace. Can she replicate the previous service that she has done? Better passing this time from the Highrisers.
To the middle.
Baliton is denied.
The push by Juju. Combination, Pablo. That is a point for NXLED.
A 5-point advantage being enjoyed by the Chameleons here.
Mukhang nakuha na ng NXLED yung galaw nila this second set. Coronel to Alvarez. That doesn't go over.
A lot of errors on the side of the Highrisers very early on here in the second set.
And a timeout called by Coach Aying Esteban.
Angkat mo dun sa bola mo, hindi na talaga, hindi ayaw mo pahawak mo sa block, talaga pabuhog. Hindi ba kayang atakin na ng nasakin, paloy mo na ng paloy, ba't natatakot ka na, walang problema. Kaso hanggat hindi mo igagalaw yung gano'n, hindi mo talaga makukuha yung tempo mo. Wala na, inaayawan mo na yung bola mo. O alam mo naman kung ano yung binibigay na play, dapat ano, pupursigido ka dun sa gagawin mo. Diba?
Still serving for NXLED, Rania Musa.
Coach Clarence Esteban not very happy over that timeout. So looking for more aggressiveness after that 4-0 run by the Chameleons.
And the number of errors too. How about a block from Jonas Sabete Escamillan?
4 errors already on the side of the Galleries Highriser. So that makes it easier now for NXLED, because they have been successful in their attacks, and then add on to that the errors contributed here by the Highrisers.
7-point lead. This is their biggest of the game so far. Both ends of the floor, defense and offense working. But kept alive by Maizo Pontillas. Easy ball, Tolentino to Pablo. Myla flying in for her 7th point.
Let's take a look at that sequence once again. This is that pancake save. And Pablo to the hands of the block. Bounces out.
Underhand set to Pascual. Kept alive by NXLED. One more time for Gale. Brooke was ready at the back. Jonah with a spike and the score.
Very, very comfortable lead here.
The spike of the set is brought to you by Duncan. Pasalubong ng bayan. 9-point lead now for NXLED. And they have not looked back since. Kahit in time of Coach Aying, they have not scored since then.
And usually, you know, after a timeout, you would get a response from the team.
Yeah.
But Highrisers struggling here.
Finally, Julia Coronel breaking the dry spell for Galleries Tower.
Decided to take the matters into her own hands.
Now serving, Rosel Baliton.
Baliton sending it in. Pablo. Down the line covered by Baliton. Pineda with the extension. Jonah was checked. They go to the opposite. Now with Galleries Tower. Assist!
That was an excellent running hit. And she did that with a lot of confidence. Take a look at that. He had only one blocker. Actually, the blocker was even late, so really it was her point to make.
But only the third point for Jean Assis. And we know what she is capable of in terms of scoring. Hopefully they get more of those talking about Galleries Tower if they want to get a chance. And speaking of back-to-back points for the Highrisers, and back-to-back coming from Jean Assis.
Another well-executed running hit. And she has the advantage if she only has one person defending her at the net.
Check that. That's now a 3-0 mini run for Galleries Tower. Make that 4 unanswered points to cut the lead down to 5. Now is not the time to be complacent if you're NXLED. And a timeout called by Coach Ettore Guidetti.
Rotation 2. Every time we give them a free ball, they play like in rotation 2. So we have to overload on assist. Okay, if we give them a free ball or they got a transition. When you are in full approach, the position 5 is scared that you can tip line. Okay, only with the best jump. Hey, they are doing only one thing, serving hard. We have to resist now. 2 points and we finish. Here we go, ready, oh! Camilio.
I agree with the last thing that Coach Ettore said over that timeout. And the Highrisers are really just doing one thing.
Yeah.
And because of that strong serve, it limits the opportunity of the Chameleons to execute, their usual play. So making it now easy for the Highrisers to counterattack.
And again,
another poor serve.
Yun na yung sinabi ni Coach Ettore in the timeout, but they're unable to respond. And Jean Assis is heating up here in set 2, 5 points.
And all her attempts with that running hit has been converted into a point. So this time down the line, angle chosen by Assis.
Oh, she's made that beautiful connection with Julia Coronel. This All-Filipino conference, they've showcased it all throughout their matches. Pascual, saved by Pineda. Phillips.
Phillips has been quiet for a while, and that's because the Chameleons haven't had a good pass, good enough, for any of her quick plays.
Only one blocker, and it was also late for Galleries Tower. That attack was too quick. Janelle Cheng, Lian de Guzman back with a double substitution. Oh, nabasa. After consecutive points from the same execution, NXLED defending at the net as we go to the second technical timeout. The 2026 MPTC Tour of Luzon is back, bigger, bolder, and tougher than ever. Local and international cyclists face a grueling 14-stage battle across 13 provinces and 5 regions. An 1,800-kilometer test of endurance, speed, and strategy. Don't miss a single moment. Catch all the action live on the Pilipinas Live app, also on One Sports and One Sports Plus. That's an error for Galleries Tower, who have struggled mightily here in set 2.
Well, they have committed a lot of errors, and those errors are not really helping them, shift the momentum to their side.
The setup back to Pascual. Cheng with a save. De Guzman swings. Popped up by Barbon. They go back to Gale, still nothing. Lian with a soft touch.
And once again, those tips causing problems for the Highrisers. Chameleons have scored quite a number of points out of those tips.
4-0 run for NXLED to pull away again. There's a check ball.
That is a much needed point to break this very comfortable momentum and lead being created by the Chameleons. The Chameleons are up by 7 points, 11 serving 18.
It's a good ball from Brook. They go to Phillips. That's the reason why they were able to do just that. 11 points for MJ Phillips. Back set, Maiza Pontillas putting some spin on that ball. De Guzman with the power. Back with her. Lian, second try. Picked up by Aiza. Pascual straight to Pineda. That one stopped by Deloria, and Maiza Pontillas tried to go for the attack, but to no avail. As the Galleries Tower Highrisers will burn their final timeout.
I-reset lang ulit natin. Reset lang ulit natin. Masyado na tayong stiff na masyado sa loob ng court. May kalsali lang, relax lang. Isip lang ulit tayo kung ang tamang gagawin. Balik lang ulit sa sistema natin, daan-daan lang ulit, wala magmamadali din. Unti-unti lang natin. Okay? Kaya naman yan. Pero pilitin lang natin mga block, pilitin lang natin mga defense, saka lang tayo mapulang.
Let's go!
Galleries Tower trail by 9 points. This is a steep hill to climb now for the Highrisers.
Yes, with the way that the Chameleons are playing right now, this is going to be a challenge for them. So again, what's really missing here is the defense at the net. You just have to make the attackers think, and that's already a big thing. And we're talking about, for the Chameleons. They're struggling with their defense. First time that these two teams met, that's in the preliminaries. The Highrisers had 13 block points. That's quite a lot for a 4-set match. And they only have 2 right now.
So a completely different game right now that Galleries Tower is playing against the NXLED Chameleons. You would think they would carry that same confidence they had. But then again, this is a different NXLED Chameleon squad. Different in the sense that, yes, they did not, some of the players were not there in their first time that they met, but also different kasi nung padulo na, they were able to get that chemistry already.
Yes, that's right. And there's much more at stake in this game. Well, this is for both teams. It's a winner take all because again, the losers will have to say goodbye to the conference.
Now serving MJ Phillips.
7 errors for Galleries Tower. A botched first ball. Phillips gets to it. Oh, Van Sickle with a hang time, able to figure out where she'll send that ball.
Again, those tips are killing the Highrisers.
Waited at the last second to make contact. And again, couldn't get a good pass. A high ball. One hand set to Musa. Everything working now on the side of NXLED. Galleries Tower will challenge, saying it was still playable.
That was a good save, actually, if there was no floor touch. And this would be a much-needed point for the Galleries Highrisers. Although if they do get this call in their favor, it's already set point for the Chameleons, so it's really perfect volleyball for the Highrisers. No room for any errors, and they cannot give the Chameleons any opportunity.
Yung mga struggles nila ng first set, they were able to limit it in set 2. You see the replay there, no floor touch. So the challenge is successful for Galleries Tower, which means we will replay the point. NXLED still at 23 points here. Deloria able to break the block.
Highrisers struggling a little bit with their first ball from the serve. 10-point advantage for the Chameleons, 23-13.
Check.
Receive.
Paliton will be the one to set up the play. Oh, Pineda.
And this time around, the confusion on the side of the Chameleons.
Well, she did her part, but the second ball is nowhere to be found for NXLED. Down to a single-digit lead. But still comfortable enough for the Chameleons. An ace, though, delivered by Ginasis. 6 of her 7 points coming here in set 2. And that prompts Coach Ettore to call for a timeout.
What is the particular serve of assist that everybody knows? That she's serving from long distance. The ball is arriving and dropping down in 5. So we start short. We start short with our line and we go with the ball. Okay? Now the ball is heavy. We have to work with the legs and keep the ball off the net. That's all. Here we go. Camilo.
Very basic instructions over at that timeout. And hopefully, that timeout also ices the serve.
Mukhang kampante si Coach Ettore sa NXLED that they could get it right here, but serves have been heavy for the Highrisers. Coronel. Ball was behind Deloria, so she had some trouble going up for it, and NXLED officially at set point.
And number 5, Jules Valentino.
The starters are back on the floor. It's a good stint for Cheng and De Guzman.
Serving for the set, Jules Valentino.
9 set points. Coronel to Deloria. Now with NXLED. Easy ball given up by Pablo, and Maiza Bonillas is finding the sweet spot.
Maiza Bonillas is making things look easy. She now goes to the service line. 16 serving 24.
For Galleries Tower, they want to build habits. Try to prolong this set and carry whatever they could towards the third. Van Sickle one more time, picked up by Deloria. Pascual from behind. Kept alive. Still playable. Pablo, no. That's low for Erica. Tolentino sets up Van Sickle. And Paneton will convert a point.
And again, patience has paid its rewards for the Highrisers. All they had to do was be patient with their defense. This time around, they were able to keep the tips given out by the Chameleons alive. That has made the difference.
Yeah, so buhay pa ang Galleries Tower dito sa set na to. That one falls short. 3 set points saved by Galleries Tower, so this is not yet over. Isa Pontillas with a serve. Tolentino goes to Van Sickle with a blockbuster. And that will do it here in set 2. Took a while, but eventually getting that final point in the second set. BVS with the play of the set brought to you by Pure Gold. Sa Pure Gold, always panalo. And the next set, Chameleons are up 2-0 over the Galleries Tower Highrisers. We'll bring you set 3 after the break. All-Filipino Conference back here inside the Ninoy Aquino Stadium. And the next set, Chameleons are up 2-0 over the Galleries Tower Highrisers. As we take a look at the highlights, a far cry really for Galleries Tower. Their performance from the first time they met and this time they have not really put NXLED to the test all throughout the match.
That's right. So this was a completely different Galleries Highrisers that we've seen from the first set. Meanwhile, the Chameleons were really on point in everything that they have done. You know, they did their homework from the first, but you know, better performance or more consistent performance we've seen from the Chameleons. So the Highrisers struggled a little bit. Well, not a little bit, but they struggled a lot on the second set. As we take a look at their numbers, while the Galleries had more conversions with their attacks, the number of errors is really what hurt them. Meanwhile, the Chameleons, from the 8 errors that they had in set number 1, they managed to reduce that to only 2, and that actually made a whole lot of difference when it comes to shifting or building the momentum on their side.
Well, right now, there are no more second chances for Galleries Tower. They need to get the set if they want to prolong their All-Filipino conference. Sophie, maybe the setters have something to do with this, something that needs to change for the Highrisers.
Yeah, exactly. At the heart of these two teams are their setters, and they both actually share, as you know, the same school, DLSU, and they told me earlier, it's really nice to be back near their alma mater. But in terms of mindset and focus, for Jules Tolentino today is really just about showing that pride as an athlete, taking back the win that they weren't able to get before. And for Julia Coronel, it's more about just enjoying the game, trying to continue their Cinderella run, and just do their best no matter what happens.
You're right, same school as you, diba? From DLSU, so they know their games. And you, Ivy, so pare-pareho. And of course, these two know each other pretty well. They've played together in college in the UAAP. But thank you so much, Sophie Espiritu, for giving us your insights on these two setters. But for next year, again, they just have to keep on going, right, Ivy, for Galleries Tower. Ano yung pinaka-importante for them right now in set 3 that they need to remember?
Well, they have to forget what happened in set 2, that's for one. And, you know, they have to recover with their reception. The passing was actually that made it difficult also for the Highrisers. The tips has been one of the key points or the key source of points here for the Chameleons. So, you know, if they manage to counter that, be able to read that, then that will make the Chameleons, of course, vary their attacks again.
We'll find out here in the third set how it will play out. For the Chameleons, they only need one set to be able to advance to the next round. For Galleries Tower, it has to be a reverse sweep.
First set, first serve to Galleries Tower, serving Julia Coronel. MJ Phillips. Indians score first in the third. Service, Pablo. Over the defense for G. Asis. Serving for the Highrisers, Gail Pascual. Block point, Galleries Tower.
Right, so far, 2-1 in favor of Galleries Tower. Highrisers here in set 3. Chameleons sticking to their starters. There's no problem so far for Coach Ettore Guidetti. That one sails out.
And this is a good start for the Highrisers. So I think it's really important, you know, that they forget what happened about, you know, in the second set. But they just really have to build on the momentum.
Off the hands for MJ Phillips.
That's a point for MJ Phillips.
And Phillips has been a very hard problem to solve for the Highrisers.
For NXLED, Jonas Sapete Escamillan.
13 points already for last All-Filipino Conferences Finals MVP MJ Phillips. That one sails out for Jonah.
Now serving, G. Asis.
2-point advantage being enjoyed by the Highrisers.
Saved by Galleries Tower. Joust. Deloria attacks. The stretch by Brooke. Still playable. Oh, block for MJ Phillips.
Well, that was actually a good save by Asis. Let's take a look at that once again. Pancake save. But no room for Deloria to go.
Third block already for MJ Phillips. Almost an ace to go along with that. Tolentino tosses Van Sickle. Coronel saves it, but Deloria unable to make contact, and another point for NXLED.
was far too wide for Deloria. We're now tied 4-all.
Better ball this time. Off the block and out for Erica Deloria.
Aiza Puentillas for the serve.
Van Sickle attacks. Wilton got a touch. Brooke with a save. Pablo attacks. Pascual from behind doesn't get it. And Musa couldn't catch the line there. That sails out.
So this time around, the string of errors coming from the side of NXLED. But a challenge will be called by NXLED for block touch. Again, this is a good start for the Highrisers. Far cry from how they did on the second set.
Yeah, they have no more choice. With their backs against the wall here, they have to remember a loss here will mean them being eliminated in our tournament. Was there a block touch? That is the challenge we are reviewing right now.
Seems like that there was a very slight touch. The hands off the block, so point goes.
It's high enough for Brooke to pick up. Jules backs it to Pablo with a cross-court kill.
Good attack by Myla Pablo.
NXLED now with the lead here in the third set. Deloria. Musa able to get a touch. Back to Erica. Pineda with the pickup. Van Sickle is rejected at the net.
That's a big block there for, I think it was Baliton who was able to have a hand at that. And the Highrisers would need more of that actually. You know, not just for the points, but you know, just to have that momentum on their side. And iba yung, you know, iba yung bigay na strength and intensity na magandang block.
But immediately they kill that momentum. Would have been a shift for Galleries Tower with that service error.
And errors have to be something that the Highrisers need to manage here in the set.
Yeah. Nakarami sila nung set 2.
That's actually what cost them the second set.
Back with the white shirts, Jules. Goes back to Pablo, and eventually it went down for Myla as we go to the first technical timeout. NXLED up by 2. Coach Ramil De Jesus in the venue, enjoying some PVL action at the Ninoy Aquino Stadium.
Of course, To see his former players playing on the scene right now. So this is the third set, and it's the Chameleons up by 2 points.
Jonah checked. Pineda says it's mine. So Brooke went out of the way, and Myla Pablo delivers.
Myla Pablo has been scoring off that very sharp cross-court angle.
The tip doesn't work for Coronel. Pumps it to Pablo. Down the line, covered by Barbon. Pipe attack of Deloria doesn't work. That was a difficult one for Jonah. Using her left hand, but I believe it was not inside.
I think it passed the outside of the antenna. Lead still at 2 here. It's still in favor of the Chameleons.
Tolentino had to go after that. One more time. They go to Pablo. Unable to set up properly. And Jean Assis putting it away.
Excellent kill by Jean Assis.
Balaton serving 8-9. Pineda. High up for Pablo. Maiza Pontillas covers. Pascual with the push. Jonah. Again, that one sails out for her. And we are back to a deadlock here at 9. 3-0 run here for Galleries Tower. Saved. Well, Deloria got the first ball but couldn't keep it in play. That is our Spikle set brought to you by Dunkin, pasalubong ng bayan. And we're about to see the entry of Aduke Ogunsanya for the first time in the match.
Now serving for the Chameleons, Aduke Ogunsanya.
Anya Musa will head to the bench. 10-9. Sent back. Pascual breaks the block.
Off ahead, Gail Pascual.
We're tied once again, 10 apiece.
Only the second point of Gail Pascual.
Serving for the Highrisers, Julia Coronel.
Tied at 10. It's a good serve by the captain. And Julia Coronel gives the lead back to Galleries Tower.
And again, this has been one of the weapons used by the Highrisers earlier on. You know, those hard serves. They just have to make it difficult. But
Speaking of difficult, well,
if you have Phillips at the front line, again, she does wonders.
yeah. The Galleries Tower, they've had a difficult time stopping MJ Phillips. 15 points for her. Right behind her, Brooke Van Sickle with 11 and Myla Pablo with 10 points. So 3 Chameleons already in double digits. For the Highrisers, Deloria and Assis with 9 each. 1 point shy from the 10-point mark. Maiza Pontillas picked up by Pineda. Now with the Highrisers. Again, the dig by Van Sickle. De Guzman swings. Saved by Barbon. Pascual. That is out. As we get this report now from Sophie Espiritu.
Griffin Ivy, Isa Pontillas has been one of the steady veterans for the Galleries Tower, and especially now that the Highrisers are trying to play catch-up in this game. In their first matchup against NXLED, part of her role was helping her teammates read their opponent better, especially since she already knew some of their tendencies of her former teammates. But even then, Isa made it clear that that win was not just about one person's familiarity, but for her it was really a total team effort. Now with this must-win set for the Galleries, she hopes to bring that same composure, leadership, and veteran presence to help guide this young team, again, to stay alive in this game. Voting is now online for the Volleyball All-Star Showcase in Candon City on May 1. Cast your votes at pvl.ph/allstar. The Volleyball All-Star Showcase will also be available live on the Pilipinas Live app. Back to you, Griffin Ivy.
Thank you so much, Sophie, for that report. Isa Pontillas, really the veteran that is tasked to lead the youngsters of Galleries Tower. Sabete Escamillan getting a point.
Let's take a look at that last hit. It's too strong for Baton. And she now gets ready to serve for the Chameleons.
Well, going back to that report of Sophie, I mean, you've seen it as another point here for NXLED. A service ace by Jonas Sabete Escamillan. Well, you see naman yung maturity ng Galleries Tower. It has shown in this conference. However, they're looking for that consistency, right? That
yes.
Them being able to match up with these teams on a regular basis. It's not just a one-time thing.
That's right.
But rather them cementing themselves as contenders. But again, this is a very young squad full of potential. This is not yet over as they cut the lead down to 1. Those errors definitely won't help their cause. Coronel goes middle. Balaton scores a point.
It's not over here for the Highrisers. You know, they just have to bring back, you know, how they moved and how they played in the first set.
Yeah.
I think if they're able to bring that back, and there's a higher chance for them here.
Tsaka ilang beses din silang lumamang eh.
Oh,
Sa set 1
yes. You know, so that means that, you know, it can be done. So again, talking about what you mentioned earlier, it's really just about the consistency.
Yeah.
Kasi it can't be that, you know, one time you're here and then the other you're not.
That's put away by Brooke Van Sickle.
That's where NXLED is good at. They've got seasoned players ready to close this one out. They're up by 2 as we go to the second technical timeout. Back inside the Ninoy Aquino Stadium for PVL 2026 All-Filipino Conference. This is the play-ins, and we are the first match of your Saturday doubleheader between the Galleries Tower Highrisers, who are trailing by 2 points and by 2 sets against the NXLED Chameleons. Later on, we still have the Akari Chargers versus the Chocomucho Flying Titans. Chance for NXLED. Ogunsanya couldn't get it. Deloria off the block and out.
And the Highrisers are still in the game. What they have to do is try to gain the lead now.
Yeah.
And number 5, Jules Valentino.
Coach Ettore doesn't want to take his chances here. He will bring in his starters back on the floor.
Serving for the Highriser.
Yeah, we have to remember that the loser of this match will have to say goodbye to this season, to this tournament. So all or nothing here.
Overpass. And Baleton puts it away.
We're tied 16-all with that regalo for Rosel Baleton.
Tolentino back set to Pablo. Ball slowed down. Isa Pontillas brings it to Pascual. Van Sickle goes up and return to sender. And the Highrisers regain advantage.
And again, the blocking is what they need to bring into the game. That can actually be the game changer here for the Highrisers.
3 straight points for Galleries Tower to get the lead here by 1. Jules goes to Brooke. Doesn't fall. A redo. Barbon picks it up. And nobody covering the attack of Deloria.
What a hit by Deloria.
Timeout will be called by the NXLED Chameleons as you take a look at this previous point by Erica Deloria.
We jump on 5. All of you. We jump on 5. Let's go, guys. Side out. In center 1. We can do everything we want. With a good pass, we go. They are serving good. I need a be fast. Don't try to be precise. Here we go. Oh.
Timeout called by NXLED. You don't want to give any opening to Galleries Tower now to have that resurgence. If they regain their confidence, they might just turn it around here.
That's right. Again, we've seen how they played in the first set, no? Yung parang they could have gotten it actually if not for the errors.
Back with the Chameleons. Ogunsanya picked up by Barbon. Pascual swings. Covered by Pineda. Van Sickle. High enough. The tip. Still playable. Coronel to Baleton. That doesn't go over. Oh, unfortunate sequence for the Highrisers because you saw the Chameleons scrambling. They were disorganized on defense.
That's right. That could have been a point actually for the Highrisers.
I just know somewhere right now, Kat Arado saying, pwede mo hanapan ng butas. Eh, diba? Hindi nakaset up yung defense. Kita mo si Arado, ginagawa ng paraan. Oh, that falls. And a point for Galleries Tower.
That went into the favor of the Highrisers. It was actually an overpass already, but Coronel was able to bring that over.
Good timing for Julia Coronel. 2-point lead now for Galleries Tower. Kiara Permentilla will see action for the first time. (19-17). Oh, service error for Rosel Baleton.
And that can be a costly error for the Highrisers. It shifts the momentum. Well, they are ahead by 1, but that actually shifts the momentum towards the Chameleons now.
Aduke Ogunsanya will serve 18-19. MJ back in front for NXLED. Pascual blocked, but it sails out. Oh, they continue to protect this 2-point advantage.
different high-risers we're seeing here as compared to set number 2.
Jules to the middle, read by Asis. What a time for that block by Jean.
That's right. It's MJ Phillips this time. When she's one of those players that you rarely get a touch out from her attacks, but this time around, Asis, well timed, denies MJ Phillips.
Timeout called by the Chameleons.
Here we go, center one serving, Coronel. The ball falls down short on your right. Okay, so the one who is in 6 take care of this ball. Here we go, guys. Hey, we need something important to win this set, because we are waiting them to give us the set. But we have to give them the rhythm. Here we go.
Coach Ettore discussing in that timeout, telling his players that they are waiting for Galleries to give them the set. Baga hinihintay lang nilang dumating sa kanila yung panalo, but it won't come easily.
That's right. You can see now that the high-risers are putting up a fight. Pass is good.
MJ Phillips breaking the cold spell of NXLED with their 16th point of the match. But still, the Chameleons are down by 2. Aiza Pontillas. A dive by Tempiatura. That one is out for Jean Asis. No touch.
Lead is now cut down to 1 point, but still in favor of the high-risers. So of course, they want to stay in the game. They have to be able to get the next point.
Oh, but a costly error for Myla Pablo. Back to a 2-point game here in favor of Galleries Tower. And Gail Pascual will head to the service line. Tolentino goes to Jonah. Barbon puts it up for Maiza Pontillas, who comes up short. Tense moments now in the end game of set 3. Coronel sets up Deloria. Sent back. It should go to the opposite, but dug by Tempiatura. Permentilla, no. Reverse to the opposite. Underhand to Deloria. Saved by Jonah. Kiara goes for it. Julia, back set to Aiza. Long rally alert. Play on. Permentilla goes. Still saved. Deloria changing pace, and that does the job.
Good decisions there by Deloria. All the hard hits are just being defended well by, the Chameleons.
23-21. Brooke Van Sickle back on the floor. Jean Asis on deck to serve. It's a good ball from Jean. Brooke. And it drops for BVS. Instant impact as she returned to the floor. Rania Musa also fielded back in. This is now the starting unit of Coach Ettore Guidetti. Coronel to Maiza Pontillas. Blocked!
And now,
at the net.
That's right. We're tied 23 all. Musa denying Aiza Maizo Pontillas.
And Coach Aying forced to call a timeout.
Doon sa may 3 nyo ilagay para mas madali. Okay, sipagan mo yung pasok mo, ano, magpakita ka. Pag maganda, sige lang, atake lang. Okay, lamang pa tayo sa bola. Kailangan mo natin mapatay itong bola na to. Okay, ready to sa ano. Pag may atake, coverage lang, tuloy-tuloy lang tayo. Pagka ano, dahan-dahan lang ulit. Ha?
Well, that last sequence, Galleries Tower hoped that the block would go out, but unfortunately for them, it landed inside.
Oh, this is a very tight set.
Oh!
A service ace! What a time to commit the service ace.
NXLED Chameleons now at match point. And Galleries Tower will use their final timeout.
Sige lang, okay na yun. Kailangan lang natin makuha tong puntos na to para mag-juice lang tayo. Okay, dahan-dahan lang, ganda lang. Address agad kung kukunin yung bola, magsalita lang magsalita para hindi tayo magkakaproblema. Okay, sige, go.
But just when you thought Galleries Tower would extend this match, they were already up 23-21. But the 3-0 blast by NXLED, putting them at match point and on the verge of advancing to the next round.
Phillips once again with the serve.
This time picked up. Coronel to Deloria. Sabete picking that up. Brooke with a drop. Doesn't go. Aiza rejected. And that does it. There's the NXLED Chameleons win this one in straight sets. They eliminate the Galleries Tower Highrisers in our 2026 All-Filipino Conference. As we check out this play of the set brought to you by Pure Gold. Sa Pure Gold, always panalo. BVS with the block of the game that seals it.
And with this win, the Chameleons will now face the Farm Fresh Foxies in their next game. But this is a good momentum to bring in, you know, to their next match because they won this in 3 sets.
Now you look at the scores, set 1 and set 3. The same total there for Galleries Tower, which means they were actually right there, sticking their noses, but NXLED just edging them out. As we take a short break, we'll be back to wrap this one up after this. Back here on One Sports Plus and the Filipinas Live app as we just finished the match between NXLED and Galleries Tower over at the Ninoy Aquino Stadium. It was a long 3-setter, but in the end, it was still a straight set win by the Chameleons. And our player of the game is with our very own Sophie Espiritu.
Joining me today is your player of the game, MJ Phillips, from the NXLED Chameleons. So congratulations, MJ. I want to know, after losing to Galleries once before, what helped you get this straight sets win today?
We just really locked in and we watched a lot of film and we know that we made a mistake back then and we wanted to correct that, and I think we did that really well today.
So now coming off a big win today, how do you plan to carry this momentum into your next knockout game?
Yeah, just composure, take it one game at a time. I know like it's kind of stressful in this part of the season, but hopefully we can just still keep coming together, build that chemistry, and get that win.
Lastly, is there anyone you want to greet? Your family, friends, supporters? Go ahead.
Hi, NXLED fans. Thank you for constantly supporting us, and happy birthday to Brooke's mom.
All right, that was your player of the game, MJ Phillips, and a win for the NXLED Chameleons. Back to you, Dip and Ivy.
Thanks for that, Sophie. And there you go. Player of the game, MJ Phillips. And nabati pa nga. Happy birthday to the mom of Brooke Vansickle. A good gift for them
Yes,
as
definitely.
the team of the Chameleons advance. Nakabawi no, after they lost in the preliminary round. There were questions, but definitely a convincing and statement win here for NXLED.
I would have to agree with that, Dip. You know, magandang bawi talaga to, and more so because you know this win earns them a ticket. You know, one step further into the competition. But again, yun na nga, as they move further into the competition, there's really a lot of much more at stake and no room for errors, kumbaga, no? So I think one thing that the Chameleons can learn from this match really is how important to reduce their errors. Para you know, the momentum stays with them, and there's no shift really.
Sabi nga ni MJ, no, she said it herself. This is a stressful part of the conference because you know, you play one game and that's it. If you lose, could be the end of your campaign.
That's right.
So ngayon, they are holding on to this All-Filipino conference and they will take on the Farm Fresh Foxies. Will see the updated bracket in just a bit. But before that, this is the total match stats after 3 sets.
It has been the Chameleons ahead in all of these scoring areas. While the Chameleons, you know, they've also given out their errors, pero yung errors ng Highrisers na in all of these different sets, and particularly in set number 2 ito, but they gave out 21 errors in just 3 sets. So that's really a lot, you know, considering it only a 3-set match. But again, you have to give them also A for effort kasi talagang pinakabarin nila itong Chameleons. They managed to really keep within the score. They've actually led in certain sequences also. But yun nga, it was a good game here for the Highrisers.
Kita mo naman, it was a close battle in the categories. However, the errors of Galleries Tower just